Well, this is annoying. I can't do a proper video because of me playing several turns because the fact that the software I'm using to record this at the moment has it cut out every single time I generate a turn, and thus each video can only be one turn at a time. Anyway, so basic stuff like um there's several different configuration settings you might want to change from default because the default actual configuration settings in this are not really but playable. It's like it sets you by default in a single player game with no AI empire. It's just like the empire, the AI magnet civilizations. Anyway, though, so time to design a colony ship. I'll explain the whole like ship creation stuff while I'm at this, even though I'm not actually going to make a combat ship. First thing you need to choose the size. I'm going with light cruiser this time because of the fact that I need the biggest thing I got, honestly. Now you can build a cruiser design for colony ships. Realistically, the settlement module is the majority of the cost for the ship anyway. So building a cruiser version, while it's more expensive, um, the added value you get for using a cruiser um, might be worth it. Because like a cruiser colony ship can actually like self-replicate, but also you can have anything with a space yard build a settlement colony ship in place. So you don't need to actually have the colony ship replicating itself. So I don't normally do that. Anyway, though, uh, notice how it has engines per movement. Yeah, one engine component. Higher tech levels do have like bonus movement on engines, but for the most part, yeah, but that's just it for engines. And then we throw in the settlement modules. Now, if this was a warship, stuff like ECM multiplex tracking is actually important here because of the fact that by default, a ship can only fire on one other vessel at a time. You cannot have weapons targeting more than one other vessel. This is something that gets dumped in later games for good reason because it was dumb, but it's what Space Empires 2 has, which part of the reason why this exists is to make it so that seekers you actually need to have multiple ships taking out seekers. You can't just have one ship do all of the point defense. And of course, it means that you can overwhelm enemy multiplex targeting by simply firing a whole bunch of seekers. Because in MX2, you can only fire on two things per turn. If that's two seekers, well, the other five seekers don't get fired on. It's actually a pretty significant game balancing thing with the way that combat works in Space Empires 2. So, you know, you need to keep it in mind. ECM combat sensors, they work the same way they do in later things, like get hit more likely, avoid getting hit, whatever. Weapons, the numbers in Space Empires 2 are very small, but they work. Another thing that's interesting is it has both plasma torpedoes and capital ship missiles, and plasma torpedoes kind of suck. Actually, the thing with plasma torpedoes is that they actually move faster than capital ship missiles. That's the actual like benefit to using them over capital ship missiles. Um, One thing that later Space Empires games also have, but this one has to a greater extent, is the idea of having weapons where you have a large reload time, but also you have this upfront damage spike. So you hit your enemy really hard, get out of firing range, that sort of thing. Or you just have your fleet just jump in, shoot up the enemies, and leave. Um, Another thing to remember, and this is something that is just a general thing, is that components are damaged in the order they're placed, and they are repaired in the reverse order they're placed. So, component repair starts at the bottom, so that if it has like Space Yard 1, okay, each settlement tier colony has the equivalent of a built-in Space Yard 1. Okay, a Space Yard 1 can repair 3 components. Yeah, it's just a flat number of components. It doesn't care what they are. So when this gets placed, and then the next turn, it will have 3 things available. Which, okay, sure, it can actually colonize something with only 2. But oh yeah, for combat ships though, a lot of the time I will actually just use the engines as a substitute for armor, because you have a whole bunch of weapons, you have engines, and the actual benefit you get for armor is not great. It's like putting in shields. Each shield component that you put in needs a space. So if I was to actually give this 5 shields, I would have to remove 5 spaces worth of other things, which I don't want to do that. Anyway, save plane. Thum, thum, thum. Do I actually have money to build one at the moment? Yes. Okay. I'm going to build one in the Mysterian system. Oh wait, it costs 5,800. I don't actually have money for it. Never mind. So, let's see here. Show how this works. Port yard. Okay. So, movement. You click this move button here. Select what you want to move. If you have 5 ships here and you only want to move 3 of them, you can unselect whichever ones you want to not move. That's good. So let's see here. Thum, thum, thum. Oh yeah. This does not have an algorithm to remember which or to place warp points on the same side of the system that the warp point goes to, which is the reason why the warp point to my home system is on the east side, not the south side. That's something that got improved in later editions of Space Empires, but Space Empires 2 doesn't. Here we are in Mysteria. This is the location where I told it to build it. The porting yard here is going to be building my colony ship whenever I get to it. The reason why I decided to leave the porting yard in Mysterian is because of the fact that it has several super terrestrial planets that are all have a higher value than my home world. Yeah, my home world only has a value of 512, I think, 521, something like that. Which means even this terrestrial planet has a higher value. So colonizing all 4 of these, great stuff. Thing is, each colony at this stage of the game is more. It costs like 4 or 5 turns worth of production. It's a lot. Thing is, the lower tier ones are actually, in the grand scheme of things, a waste of money. That's the screwy part with Space Empires 2, and why later Space Empires games don't bother with this sort of colonization tier thing because of the fact that A, for a realistic perspective, it doesn't make sense because why can't you just have build stuff on a colony to upgrade it? Well, the reality is that in Space Empires 2, y- you just can't build things at those locations. Yeah, also he would probably set it up so that you would have to, build the build basically just like build something that costs as much as a, colony ship anyways. Oh yeah, also create design. You noted that I had the light cruiser with a movement of 5. One thing you can do is you can just like put in only one ion engine and the settlement module, which it's only 400 less, but it is 400 less. So I mean, it is something of a benefit because when you're trying to literally scrape every cent together early game, every cent matters. So, building a thing with only one engine because you don't need more than one engine. If you're building it in orbit, yeah. Oh, yeah, this is another thing. Shields. Each point of shielding literally costs 1 credit. 1 credit, but it takes up 1 space. Armor costs 5, but it has more or less the same logic to it, you know. Anyways, done with that. Yeah, that's basically everything I can do with these. Warping. You have a ship move to a warp point. Actually, you know what? I can show you. Move to warp, warp back, and move. Yeah, it didn't actually get back to there, but whatever. I can worry about that later. And yeah, that is a demonstration of how this works. Like tech is just like it's a thing you buy in the same menu where you buy ships. Does that make sense to me? Well, this game doesn't have a research concept. You're just paying. Basically, it's just like your empire's resources. This turn, you're devoting those to technological developments. Next turn, you'll devote them to building warships. Yeah, it's that basic logic. Anyway, though. Alrighty then. Well, time to go.